And welcome to the website audit of Sabrina Lundquist Acupuncture, where I review the visual design, information architecture, content, SEO, functionality, and usability, and how it all affects conversion. So Sabrina describes her brand personality as low-key, quirky, relatable yet professional, and informative. Her conversion goals, her main one really, is to book more in-office clients. So to see more people in person, not just through like telehealth. So she also said the existing website challenge is mainly with her SEO. But I think upon a quick look through before I started this video, that there's a few other things that are affecting conversion and how people are viewing this website. So I will start with visual design, where it's important that the branding and the website are consistent, which presents a professional appearance and communicates that you're serious about what you do and leads to bookings, especially as a professional. So first of all, your homepage is the most important page to quickly and clearly tell people what you offer and how it serves them. And it really should establish your brand and be a teaser menu into the various areas of your website. So we're going to start here, but I'm going to bounce around a little bit. Just there's a couple of things to do with the navigation. So first off, I noticed the logo. This is kind of a neat little feature. As you scroll on the different pages, you have like the large logo version and it shrinks a little bit. It's kind of similar on mobile, but what I would actually suggest for mobile, because this would be quite small on a phone, I would actually suggest that there is a mobile version of the logo that's maybe just the initials. So that might be something to think about, is something that's a little bit more branded, not just a plain font. The other thing that I will point out here too is I don't really see any particular brand colors at all. I will say that the one spot where that appears, I think, was on the not FAQ page. Here's a problem with the navigation. We'll come back to that. Contact page, here it is. We have this bright, like quirky purple tone gradient going on, which is really cool. And I feel like this might hit Sabrina's brand personality point of being low-key quirky. But I don't see this color used anywhere else in the website. So maybe that's something to pull that through. I mean, it is in her eyeshadow here. So that's the logo and the colors. Of course, once you have brand colors established, it's important to use those colors consistently throughout the website. So that could also be headings. You know, this blue seems a little out of place. So again, I would use that purple for headings, maybe for navigation elements, call to action buttons like this, book your treatment. Also pulling it into the footer, which here we're totally underutilizing the footer space in any way. The other thing touching on design is the font. So this is really nice as your main pitch, as it were. I will notice that this call to action here is rather hidden. You don't really see it right away. You also want both of those things above the fold. That's that first screen that's visible. So design wise, I might not have the social media icons here at the top, but have them in the footer instead. I would take out this second little line. I don't think it's required here. This would move this up the page and really center this within sort of the first visual view. So it would look more like that when the page loads. And I think a more prominent call to action button would be really helpful here too. Now, just to touch on that quickly, the call to action, you may want to sort of give two here. One is sort of a transactional call to action, and that's the one that, you know, it's like step one of two steps. So step one, because I noticed that she offers a free consultation by phone. So the first button might be book, schedule, or book free 20-minute consultation. And that gets people to contact you and see who you are, and then you can build more rapport with them on the phone. And then the second button, if somebody's really like, yes, I want to book you now, just send me where I need to go, that would be the book now button. So you might want to have those two, and depending how the colors and everything would work out, you'd have one a little bit more highlighted than the other. But they're both there. They're sort of step one, step two. So going back to fonts and layout. Fonts I find a little bit small. We're not really making use of any visual hierarchy here on this page too much. Here we've got a heading that has a little bit of a hierarchy. Testimonials. Okay, there's a bit of a... So we've got some headings. Now this also touches into content and SEO, which I'm going to review a little bit more later. But certainly if you're not making use of headings, you're fighting an uphill battle with SEO. It's very important to have those headings be consistent with the titles of the pages. That's good for SEO. And then also just using headings to denote or mark important content for search engines to give priority to. Like they will weight a heading 1 tag that's like your main heading on a page. They'll weight that as more important than a heading 2 or heading 3, 4, and so on. As you can imagine, those are the hierarchy of the headings, and you'll structure your content that similar way. So that's an important piece for SEO, as well as the visual layout and just making things clear and concise and easy to understand for your viewers. So that also feeds a little bit into the information architecture. That's part of that. A lot of these elements overlap. I would also, actually segueing into that right now, the navigation. Now this is something where I see a few things right off the bat. As you saw on the About page, you don't even see the navigation until you actually scroll down and it puts that white background behind there. Now that's because on this page, you don't have a full hero image or feature image on this page up behind that. So that's maybe something to do with the template of this that the site is using. You see versus on the FAQ page, although it has that header image, it's a little bit shorter. I do like this feature on the other pages. It's nice to have the full size on the home, but then go with the shrinking size, the smaller size on these other pages. Okay, so back to navigation. Oh, and I just noticed there's a book your treatment button over top of the logo here. That looks kind of weird. Oh, that was just a little buggy, glitchy. Okay, so back to the navigation. I would not put home as your first option, and I certainly actually wouldn't include home in the navigation items at all. It is a standard practice now that the logo or the site title always links back to home, which it does in this case. I also noticed that you have run out of space, essentially, as it were. So you have this little more tab and you have home in here again. So you have a duplicate navigation item. So I would actually remove both of those. The second thing in here I've noticed is COVID-19 updates and telehealth appointments. I think I would combine these and minimize them and incorporate them on a page that's just how to book with you. So booking would be your last option up here, and it would be a call to action button as opposed to just a regular navigation item. So that way it stands out and it's in the position that people expect that call to action to be. Now, one more point on that is when you're looking at this with mobile, again, this is where if you have a smaller logo that's maybe just the initials, you'd have your menu icon here, and then you'd actually also have that book now button here as well. So anytime somebody is scrolling on mobile, they always have that accessible at the top of their screen. Just another thing that drives people to that eventual goal that you want the website to have, which is for people to book with you. So as I mentioned, we'd shorten up this navigation. The other thing I would put in here is it looks like this is actually echoing maybe this entire page title in here, which I think is unnecessary. I think we could just shorten this to a succinct FAQ button. This would give us a lot more space in the navigation bar. So if you just had about, I would reorder this so you have about, FAQ, And then contact or booking. I believe contact actually has some location information. So yes, I would combine contact, telehealth, and COVID-19 updates all into one page that's essentially a how to book or like book now type of page. Now, the other thing I noticed that I feel like is a missed opportunity with the navigation, because people might not always explore over to this right away, is that you have migraines and headaches. Now, this is the page that really focuses on your specialty here, and I feel like this should actually be more up front and center, not only in the navigation bar, but perhaps if we go back to the homepage and how this should be a menu of things that lead into the other areas of your site, that the migraines aspect as a specialty should really be featured here. Now, you do kind of say this a little bit, but I feel like that might be a little lost. So maybe doing something on here that breaks down acupuncture is great for, and then maybe lists 3 to 4 different types of health problems that people have that want to address with your service. And those could be visual buttons. It could be something to do with migraines, something to do with like sports injuries, something to do with repetitive strain injuries. These are just some ideas I'm pulling off the top of my head. So moving on to, I think we've touched on content quite a bit here. And we've kind of touched on the SEO, but I'm going to jump into that in a little bit more detail. So looking at the code of the page, first thing I notice here, now this is going to look like Greek to you, but what I will say, one good thing here is we have the open graph data. So this is the data that's used when you share your stuff on social. It's important that your title is descriptive of what you do. I would also add maybe Victoria in here as a keyword. I also noticed that actually in the main title of the page, this is the home page, that we have Sabrina Lundquist Acupuncture, but not anything that's really other than acupuncture. There's no keywords or phrases in here that are really going to drive people just if they're searching on Google for an acupuncturist. So you might want to add Victoria Acupuncturist instead of just saying home. This is the home page obviously, but as a keyword it's not useful. The other thing you might want to consider is actually writing some descriptions that include keywords and phrases around acupuncture and really what the benefit is to a client, because this is a little bit more fluffy. It's not, I don't think it's really as direct as it should be. So I will just point that out sort of briefly. We could go through all the pages in more depth in the same way, but certainly I would add the location information. So that's like saying Victoria, BC, acupuncturist. All the page titles do include your name and then acupuncture. So that version of the keyword is in there, but I would also add acupuncturist because that might be the other word that people will try and find you by. So finally, I would say just reviewing some functionality and usability things. We've touched on that a little bit with this navigation. That definitely is a problem that needs fixing. The pages load reasonably quickly. The navigation links do work. I feel like there is a bit of a missed opportunity with the footer, like I said, about pulling the branding right to the bottom of the page, and then also moving those social icons. Also, it's a good idea too to have sort of cap your pages every time by saying, book now, or whatever that call to action is at the end of each page as you're leading people through your content. So those are also things I would do. This needs a little bit of work with just headings that need to be consistent. Now, the other thing I would say, just as an idea, because SEO gets you so far, it gets you found, and it might get you more leads, but you want those leads to start to engage with you. And oftentimes people won't just jump right into whatever your offer or service is unless they're ready to buy. But they might want to get to know you a bit better first. So you might want to consider something like a lead magnet or putting more content into your website in terms of the different conditions that you treat, so that people really see like themselves in your services. That's why I feel like this is a good page, but I feel like some of the content on this page could be maybe packaged up as like a little freebie type of download, tips or tricks or something for home care. And then once they're in your mailing list, you could be sending them something on a sort of regular basis that would then keep you top of mind for them. And when they're ready to explore acupuncture for migraines, they would then be thinking of you. So I think that's about it for just a quick review. I look forward to our talk. Thank you.